All right, let's just say a world on heightened terror alert. You're on the left of your screen on New York's Times Square, where they're just getting news of a terrorist incident that might have been avoided that could have been very, very deadly and could have made Las Vegas look like child's play. And to the right of your screen, a development, they're calling a serious development in London, involving someone who jumped the sidewalk and mowed down a number of pedestrians. Stop me if that rings a bell. What we're told is the driver has been apprehended. He was actually dragged out of his car by a mix of police and pedestrians who were on the scene. We don't know the status of the individuals who were taken to area hospitals. We do know that a number were, but again, we don't know the number and we don't know their status. What we do know in New York City's Times Square is that they're getting very, very nervous about what they heard and about what went down, obviously, in Las Vegas early in the week, and what they're just getting a sense of what was avoided with the arrest of 3 individuals who were planning something pretty big and that could take out a pretty good number of lives. Fox Business Network's Tracee Carrasco at the subway station in Times Square. Tracee.
Neil, now when you think of the magnitude of what could have been, it is terrifying. One of the men said he wanted to create the next 9/11. And these 3 alleged terrorists plan to kill as many people as they could here in New York City, in Times Square, on the subways, in an ISIS-inspired terror plot. Now, here are the 3 men. They are Abdul Rahman El Basnawi. He's 19 years old, a Canadian citizen. Tala Rahoon, 19 years old as well, a U.S. citizen living in Pakistan, and Russell Salik, a 37-year-old living in the Philippines. Yesterday, federal terrorism charges were unsealed, and we learned that the planned attacks include detonating bombs here in Times Square. El Basnawi, the alleged mastermind of this plan, sent a picture of Times Square to an undercover FBI agent and said, quote, "We seriously need a car bomb at Times Square. Look at these crowds of people." Now, another target, the New York City subway system, which millions of people use here every day. The suspect said it was a, quote, "perfect place to shoot as many people as possible." They said including women and children, and then detonate bombs. They studied subway maps and even had specific subway lines picked out. Now, they also wanted to carry out an attack similar to that in Paris and shoot people at concerts. This plot was to be carried out in the summer of 2016 during the holy month of Ramadan. The men had been communicating through messaging apps on their phones, and in that communication included an undercover FBI agent who claimed to be an ISIS supporter, said the agent wanted to help carry out the attacks. Now, El Basnawi even shipped bomb-making materials to that undercover agent here in the United States. And when El Basnawi arrived in New Jersey in May of 2016 to carry out the attacks, he was arrested. Now, the other 2 men have been arrested. They're awaiting extradition here to the United States. Neil, this is absolutely terrifying when you think of what could have happened. We are thankful to those agents who have thwarted this plot.
You know, Tracee, I did notice, I know it's hard to hear me, so I can understand if you can't, but that there's certainly a heavy, I was talking with Bill Stan about this, a heavier police presence in Times Square right now, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, we've seen a heavier and increased police presence the last few years. But if you look around, usually at every block here in Times Square, there are NYPD officers with heavy machinery. There are now blockades since we've had other recent attacks like we're talking about in London. And in the past, there are blockades, so cars really can't get through the main areas of Times Square. So there is an absolute increased presence here of security.
All right, Tracee, be safe. Great reporting as always. Tracee Carrasco in New York's Times Square, just around the block here.